Daredevil Born Again Episode 8 has arrived on Disney+. Overall, throughout the course of this season, I've enjoyed being back in this world, seeing these characters again. But I can't lie to you, the second half of this season has been very mundane, and it's a step down. It doesn't come near the first 3 Netflix seasons in my view. But this episode does pick up in the aftermath of Muse's attack. Daredevil's therapist girlfriend heals. They're discussing vigilantes in New York City, and Matt is very conflicted with his feelings, and Benjamin Poindexter, Bullseye, demands a meeting with him in prison. And he begins to reflect more on Foggy and also the injustices of the justice system and how him being Matt Murdock wasn't really doing any good. You can tell he's reaching closer to being Daredevil, and seeing how his friends and colleagues deal with his behavior since he's been back in the mantle of Daredevil. Meanwhile, Kingpin takes Vanessa to the underground area where the portrait was, where I thought he killed her boyfriend, her lover, but he's still alive. That shocked me. I really thought he was dead. Well, he is now because Vanessa takes care of him. A display of devotion, so to speak, for Wilson Fisk. But meanwhile, the most of the episode takes place during this gala, this ballroom dance. And we get to see all these moving parts, but Matt Murdock has a meeting with Bullseye. He gets mad at him. There's a great confrontation there, and he discovers that maybe Wilson Fisk might have been the one that ordered the hit on Foggy. Foggy was close to winning a case. He was celebrating early. He knew he was going to win until someone silenced him. But then as he begins to think, Kingpin was away, and we learned that Vanessa may have been behind Foggy's murder. And that is kind of shocking in a way. Also, the therapist's girlfriend is just upset. There's this wonderful kind of dance scene where they trade partners, and Wilson Fisk is talking to his girlfriend. Wilson Fisk is talking to Matt Murdock's girlfriend, and Matt Murdock is confronting Vanessa. Meanwhile, because he got his head damaged, Benjamin Poindexter ends up having a tooth that goes and he spits it into a guy's eyeball. It was crazy. He gets his hands free and, of course, escapes Rikers. So he shoots, and in a surprising twist of fate, Matt Murdock takes a bullet for Kingpin. And that's where it ends. A very exciting ending. We'll have to see what happens. The police force, the anti-vigilante strike force, interrogated some guy and put his hand into like some fryer thing, like for the fries, the grease. Oh man, a cooking top. I hated that. I know they're going to be a prominent part of season 2, but I hope that main guy, I hope he gets a visit from Frank Castle in the finale. Like, that mother effer needs to be punished, so to speak. But I'm excited to see where it goes next week, and it might be a slow start to what's going to happen in season 2. Seeing the set picks, Karen might be on the run, Matt Murdock might be on the run. They might reveal his identity like in the Frank Miller Born Again story. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope the set photos we saw with Punisher fighting Daredevil, I hope the set photos we saw with Punisher and Daredevil fighting Bullseye are in this next episode next week. But it was a fast season, and while I enjoyed many elements, they made it seem like in the press release they reshot the entire thing, and from what it feels like, it's like they had a kind of a skeleton of what they had before, reshot other elements, and those parts were better, but overall it was just like a lot of meaningless content. The Muse storyline was so rushed and half-assed. It's not a bad show, but it's a fall from grace from seasons 1, 2, and 3. If I had to rank all of them, even though this is technically like a different show, it would be dead last. Probably a little bit under 2. And 1 and 3 would be my favorite Daredevil season so far. But we'll have to see how the finale is and the story it builds up for season 2. A lot of these Disney Plus shows like Andor for me was personally kind of mundane and slow, even though it has some great writing. But it's really more of a build-up for the payoff in season 2, so we might see that with Daredevil. And if Jessica Jones and Luke Cage are added in a sort of MCU Devil's Reign story arc. But overall, it was a better episode than last week. But something about the second half is just lacking compared to the first half, which you could tell were reshot after. Those felt closer to the Netflix show, but even though it is adult and I like the tone of it, it still feels like it's PG-13. It feels like it's so watered down compared to Netflix. But also the story threads, they handled having multiple story threads much better in the original Netflix run from Stephen S. DeKnight. So we'll have to see what happens in the finale. But overall, I do love seeing these characters back, and it's some interesting stories. I just wish it had a bit more oomph, right now. So it's a show that kind of had diminishing returns the further it went along, but we'll have to see how it all ends. Maybe the ending will make it all worthwhile, and the devil will finally get his rightful due. So let me know what your thoughts of Daredevil Born Again were tonight, your thoughts on the season, if you're kind of conflicted, mixed. Hopefully with the success of this, we'll get other physical media releases of the Netflix run, but in the meantime, we have to see how it all ends. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Check out these other videos for more content. Till next time.